Well guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to my stream. Welcome to part 3, working on this guy here. This is our Fury Sherman tank. So hit it, Maestro. Alright guys, thanks and welcome back to the channel. Working on our Fury tank here, the Sherman. Let's see if I get the letters correct. It is the M4A3E8. Starts off as the Easy 8. We are building it for us the Fury tank from the movie, which shares the same name, Fury. That guy there. Yeah. So, where are we? Well, last time we got wheels put on. Put some wheels on this guy, right? Wheels are on there. And I'm going to have to turn my music down a little bit here. It's a little bit in my face. Okay. Yeah, so we got wheels on there. At first I was thinking I don't want to put the wheels on because it's going to be too hard to paint. But then, after doing the assembly and actually looking at here, as long as I don't put the upper hull on with the fenders. So we got the upper hull. We did that last time, put our little panels on there, little tabs and things. And this is going to sit in here like this. Eventually, we'll get there. That's going to sit like that. Put that on there like that. It's going to sit like that. As long as I don't put this on here first, I can paint in behind all the suspension and everything. We have our two little fenders that are going to go on the sides like this too, which would make things even worse, right? It would make it even harder to get in there with an airbrush and paint all in there. So, as long as I don't do that first, should be okay, right? So let's get this off of here. There we go. So remember, we put a poly cap into that thing. That's what that little pin is for. That goes right in there and helps keep that together. Anyway, so I think what we need to deal with right now is some Photetch stuff. So what's Photetch? It's this stuff here. That's this brass, very thin brass sheet of detailed stuff. It doesn't come in the kit. This is a separate Edward kit that I bought just to add some extra detail. So what I do, the kits come with a nice little instruction sheet and they show you what parts where they're for and how, and kind of how to assemble them a little bit, and all this kind of stuff. And so I always go through these and I decide, okay, which parts, which ones are really going to be fairly simple to actually put on, and two, do they actually add any real detail that I'm going to notice later on? Because sometimes the amount of detail they add just really isn't worth it. Hey, how's it going? Haven't seen you in a while there. How do you pronounce your name? Awiaz? Awiaz? I'm doing great, thanks. So yeah, sometimes the Photetch parts, they don't really add that much detail compared to the detail in the kit. Case in point, I'll show you something right now. I'll change the camera here. Okay, so these Photetch parts, we have this part right here. Now this is going to replace our fenders. Okay, so I obviously already cut one out to have a look at it, and I've bent it into the shape that they want it to be. And that's it there. Okay. Now we take a look at the part it would actually, in this case, Edward wants you to cut this right off. Cut it off and replace it with our Photetch. I got the wrong side here. Do I have the wrong side? Yeah. No, it's the right side. No, it's not. It's this one. Okay. Edward would have you replace it. Okay. Looking at the detail on the actual, hope streaming is amazing. Yes, thank you very much. When you look at the two pieces, there isn't any added detail. There's nothing. There's just as much detail on the kit piece as there is on the Edward piece. So what's the benefit of it? The only benefit is that it's thin and it's actual metal. So you could add some kind of dents or things like that to this, and it would look a little more realistic than doing it to the plastic. You can still get pretty good results in the plastic if you thin it out. Now Tamiya has already gone to the lengths. If I can get this at the right angle and show you on the camera, maybe right there, okay? Right there, you can see that line where they have kind of shaved it so it comes more to a thin point, so it looks thinner than it really is. Right there, you can see it along this edge, and they've done it along this edge here to give it a thin look. It's not bad, but if I wanted to add a dent in here to make it look realistic, that's going to be a challenge because it's plastic. How long have I been streaming? Today, maybe about 5 minutes. Other than that, I've been streaming maybe a little over 2 years, something like that. Maybe we're getting on 3, coming up to 3 years maybe. Yeah. So one thing I can do, I could grab my Dremel and thin this out just a little bit more, and that would make it easier to bend and dent like we should. So I think I'm going to do that actually, which means I got to grab my Dremel here and change the bit on it. So I got to grab some bits, which means I got to move some stuff around here. So let's get at my kit of Dremel bits. I need to move some stuff because I don't use my Dremel very often, so I'll have to dig it out here. I've got a kit that I bought a long time ago. It comes with all kinds of different bits in it. So I could use one of these. I think should be good. Another bit you could use is one of these sanding discs, one or the other. I think either one's going to be useful. I'll use this one just because, why not? That's the reason. The reason is why not. What's my target on Twitch? Well, basically, I think if you're the kind of person who's maybe looked at model kits, plastic model kits, and thought, hey, that would be really cool. That'd be cool. I'd like to build one of these, or I'd like to have one of those. I think that car looks cool, or that model airplane, but I don't have the skills. My purpose really, if I can show you that you don't need to be a professional to build a model kit that looks pretty decent when it's sitting on your shelf, and I can give you some tips and pointers, then my job's done. Right? Inspire people to try out building models and help them out. You don't need to have tools like this Dremel or whatever like I've got here, but yeah, they come in handy for doing extra little things. So anyway, I'm going to take this and I'm just going to go along in here a little bit and just thin it out a little bit. You don't have to do a lot, especially because Tamiya's already done some of the work for me. So just going to thin this. Of course, you don't want to go too heavy-handed on it, but yeah. You don't want to go so thin that the plastic becomes flimsy, but at the same time, don't be afraid. Okay, let's have a look at that. Now, it didn't go so thin, so as you can see, it got a little bit on the edge there. Maybe you can't see on the camera. It's gone to the point where it's gone a little bit flimsy right there, and it actually stressed the plastic and made it a little bit lighter green than what it is. Maybe you can see there against my finger. It's just a little bit lighter right there, but that's fine. It didn't do anything to the actual edge. And once it's painted, it won't see any of that stressing. But that's going to allow me to do a little bit of, I can put a dent in there a little bit if I want. And I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'll only do it. I'll say this one looks fine, that I don't think I need to do anything on that. Maybe just on this little edge. Let's do that. Thin that out just a little bit. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to put a dent in this plastic. And that, of course, means getting out a little bit of heat. Let's put that there for now. So I'm going to grab my little torch. Got my little torch here. You don't need a torch, you could use a regular lighter. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to heat up the tip of a screwdriver. And I'll just kind of press it in here a little bit and kind of just put a dent in there. Okay, so just heat this up. Doesn't have to be red hot or anything like that. You don't have to go crazy. I just want it hot enough that it's really gonna dent this when I press it down in there. Okay. Let's see if I can do something similar here. Whew, that's hot to the touch. Okay, gotta heat her up again. Let's see. By the way, are you open for suggestion? Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll take suggestions. Okay, I want to kind of put a little imperfection there. There we go. Okay, so I've got now fenders that are not very pristine, and so what I want to do, because the plastic melts a little bit, we're going to smooth that off where the plastic kind of stuck to my screwdriver and shape that up. There we go. So now I've got a fender that's got a little bit of a dent. It's a little bit flimsy, like metal is. Now, had I used the actual metal part, yeah, you can bend it, you can dent it, you can do all kinds of things. Grab your tweezers, and you can do this to it and put a dent, twist it, and you get realistic little dents and stuff, imperfections in it, right? Like that. And there you go, you've got it bent, right? So that's the advantage to actual metal parts, where plastic you can't just grab and bend it kind of thing like that without it wanting to crack on you or something like that, right? So yeah, the fact that I did thin it out does make it a little bit easier and easier to actually put a dent in it or something like that because I've thinned it, right? But you got to be careful because it's easy to crack the plastic because it is a little bit brittle. Anyway, so that's that. I'm gonna put my torch away here, and we're gonna look at some of this Photetch stuff. Okay, that's what we're gonna kind of pause on the building of this thing today and look at our Photetch pieces, because as we get along in our build, there's some things I've gone through the book here on things that are supposed to be replaced with Photetch or using Photetch pieces in place of the kit parts. Okay, for example, on our K32 and 31, these are the hatches that we're supposed to assemble next after the fender, after the skirts or whatever you want to call them. Now they call them fenders. Okay. After doing that, So we can go through in our manual here and see, sure enough, we've got pieces here. On K14, well, let's find K14 in the book. K14 is on the top of the turret, right here. Okay, so let's grab K14 off of our sprues. Find my K tree. Here's the K tree. Okay. So we want 14, that's this guy here. Let's get that guy off of here. Now again, this whole photo etch thing is not something that's necessary to do. It's just a nice added touch on adding a little bit more detail and realism to the kit, to your kit, than what would necessarily be with just the kit parts themselves. Sometimes it's adding a realistically sized grab handle. Sometimes it's just some kind of molded detail that you just can't do with plastic, but you can do with the brass photo etch. Okay, so here's our K14 piece, and we've got this part here, this little guy here. This is supposed to be a grab handle. Can I have your Discord username to chat better? To be honest, I don't really go on Discord very often. I do have Discord, but I almost never go on it. But if you did want to chat, you could check out my Instagram. You could message me on Instagram. So, right here we're supposed to use number 67 in replacement of this little thing. This is supposed to be a grab handle, and it's just a little piece of little block sticking out from the top there. Would never have known that's supposed to be a grab handle had I not gotten this. So 67 are these tiny little guys right here. These are all little brass grab handles. So I'm going to use my little cutters here. These are Xeron cutters. You don't have to use these. You can get photo etch pieces off with X-Acto knives, but what you want to do then is have a piece of glass underneath of it. Otherwise you're going to bend the photo etch as you try and cut with the knife. This thing happens to cut them pretty cleanly, but it can still easily bend them if you're not very careful, especially these little delicate pieces like this. Okay, so we got that off of there, and there it is there. And it's very small and very tiny. I still need to clean up my little bits off of there. So you get, just like plastic parts, you get nubs on your photo etch too. This is the tough part. These tiny little delicate pieces. Okay, so there's our little grab handle, and it's going to go on in place of this, so we need to replace this. So the first thing we do is we're going to shave this off. Just like that. Okay, now we have no grab handle at all. And so we're going to glue that on. To glue it, we need some CA glue. Okay, I've got this stuff here, and I like to use a little old pill tray. I think I need to open up my bottle has glued itself closed. glue bottle gets old enough, it will glue itself closed eventually. Okay. Got some CA in there. Alright, so I'm going to grab my professional CA glue applicator, which is just a pair of tweezers with a little metal rod in the end of it. And dab that on there. Dot there. Oh, dot there. Now this is the fun part. Using tweezers to install this. This is one of those little added details that maybe not a lot of people are going to notice, but you notice it. And there we go. So there's our tiny little handle installed on there. Kind of hard to see because it's so small, but it's there, and it actually looks like a handle that a little 1/35 scale man could grab. And then, so that's it, and that's all you're going to do for this piece. Obviously K14, they've got another piece underneath right here that we need to put in. It's just going to go right there on there. It's like a latch. Okay, so let's see what that piece looks like. That's number 40 on our little Photetch tree. I see 40, 2, 3, 40 right here, this guy here. And the thing with Photetch, it can be easy to accidentally, because it is so small, it can be easy to accidentally cut off a piece you're not supposed to. Now this one we're actually supposed to fold, okay, which is going to make gluing it on a little bit easier. We're supposed to fold it. What I like to do is grab my other set of tweezers and do this. To hold it right where it's supposed to be folded. That, and then do the folding. There we go. There's our piece. Okay. So another way you can do it, if you're able to hold on to it, you can just dip the piece into the glue. He's going to go right there. Now one thing you need to keep in mind, when this is installed onto the tank, you want to make sure your added piece doesn't interfere with the actual fitment of the part. So let's refer back to our instructions. So K14 is supposed to go up here on the top of the turret. Okay, and it looks like you can have, it looks like maybe it's we're going to be able to have it open or closed. Maybe we don't have to glue it at all, and it's going to, you can have just flop it whichever way you want. So you want to make sure that it's going to be able to close, right? Sure, it might look good when it's open, but if you want to close it, that might be a problem if you've got your new added piece that Tamiya never intended to have actually put on there. So I'm going to grab, that's going to sit into that little, it's going to sit into this part right here, which is this guy here. So I'm just going to look at that on the sprue. It's this here. So this guy is going to sit like this. So this doesn't actually, we're not going to have this in a kind of a proper hinge thing, but when I glue this on, I'm just going to hold it like that. I want to make sure when I put that piece in that it's going to be right there. And I can tell actually, I want to make sure it's on this inner lip on our piece. Okay, so put that down. Now, I'm just going to grab that and put it here. That's enough there. Grab their piece. Not exactly where I want it. And make sure you don't get glue on your tweezers. Which is easy to do, especially if you're using thin like I do. There you go. That was a perfect placement. And if you're having trouble with it and it doesn't want to glue, well, sometimes just using more is the trick. Anyway, so there's our piece. That's now in there. Okay. That's our little added piece on that guy there. Get that more in there. For 2 Photetch pieces. Okay. So I'm trying to get this in the center of the camera and it's upside down for me, so there you go. Anyway, that's that. So let that sit aside. And we can see what else we got. Lots of little kibbles and bits that we're supposed to add for detail on different parts, like the little strap over the shovel, little piece over the axe, another piece on the K12 hatch, little grab bars, protector things, lots of little pieces over our machine gun, to actually even the ammo for the machine gun, the ammo box. We can build that. All this stuff for added detail. I don't really want to get into it too much with you guys because it's just very, very time consuming and detailed work that I would actually prefer to do just kind of on my own. I am curious about this particular box though. This is like a shelf that goes onto the back of the tank, which is this big piece here. Okay, I am curious about that, so I do kind of want to have a look at this and see what this does look like when it's all kind of folded together. because it looks like there's quite a bit of detail to this piece. There we go. And one of the things that is a bit of a challenge, you get these little nubs, it's hard to clean off. What I like to do is grab it with my flat tweezers and I go right close to where that nub is, and that's where I'm going to file it. Okay, so I grab one of my coarser files, this guy here, and you can't go like this. If you go this way against it, it's going to, just going to bend your metal, and you don't want to do that. So you want to go along the grain, and even then, you catch a snag, just stop, do it very lightly until eventually you get down to it feels smooth. And there you go. That feels much better. That's nice and smooth now. Okay. Now, same with these. I've got little points of points here and here. Those are going to be near impossible to clean. And that's kind of the nature of the beast. I might be able to get in there with my knife and cut those. That is a nice thing about the brass, is it is soft enough that you can get away with doing this. Because obviously I can't get in there with this in between them. Now if these pieces are meant to be folded over, which it actually looks like they are, I mean, look at my instructions for this. They are supposed to be bent over. So, since they're supposed to be bent, I can do this. Bend those down, which will give me better access to clean these off. So I'm going to go against what I just told you a minute ago and very lightly try and get in there going crosswise to clean that up. I don't like doing this because it's very easy to accidentally bend the metal. And I don't want to bend it. Okay, I've got them cleaned up to the point where I can't see them now. So let's see how we're supposed to bend this. Our little fake hinges are supposed to go on the inside. I can tell by this diagram here. Now I got a couple of things. I have a nice little handy metal bender. And by metal bender I don't mean Toph from the Avatar. This is a metal bending tool, which clearly I haven't used very much. This thing is really cool in that it just pinches it really perfectly and lets you bend stuff, and depending on your different size that you have, it works great. So I'm just going to use this side here. Actually, I'll use this edge. So all you do is you just line it up where you want. There we go. Tighten these down. That holds it for you, and now I can just bend just like that. Open them back up, let that fall out. There we go, and we've got our bent metal. Isn't that easy? So, but these are bent the wrong way. I have these bent the wrong way. I bent them the wrong way, so that's okay though. Bend them back the way they're supposed to go. Okay, that's that. Now even on this piece we're supposed to add other bits of metal. So I want to see what we're doing here. It looks like we're supposed to fold these pieces over like this, like that. It actually bent too much and it fell off. I have a feeling I'm going to be gluing more pieces onto this than I had anticipated. This is supposed to be folded over. This is the delicate part with Photetch. Or should I say the tricky part, the hard part. There we go. This one folded back over. Now I could be wrong in how these are going, but I think I am actually. This is another one that's come off. All three of those have come off in the folding because I folded them in the wrong way and then folding them back. So I'm trying to duplicate this, but this is not looking the same. That looks more like the way it's supposed to be. Maybe I wasn't supposed to fold these parts. Possible. But that's all but it. No, that just came off, so I'm gonna have to glue that on. See, when you're folding this stuff too much, it starts coming apart on you. So I don't want to lose these, so I'm gonna make sure they're saved over here. Because that becomes something I have to deal with later. So we've got two pieces here that are going to act as hinges on the sides, 26 and 27. I need to refer, looks like we're replacing K8. Okay, so these little tabs are supposed to be bent. This one goes bent in, and this one gets bent down. That, in, and down. And actually, this little lip is supposed to get bent up. So, this is again where our metal bender comes in really handy. To help bend it along that line. Now I'm going to cheat and I'm just going to hold it. Just want to make sure my line is straight. And then bend. slipped out. See, sometimes you can't bend it by hand. So I'm going to tighten these down so it doesn't slip. Get a nice 90-degree bend on that. Undo these. There we go. So we've got our lip just like we're supposed to. Okay, so let's look at 26 and 27 off of this tree here. These two here. Or sorry, not 26, it's 20, yeah it is 26 and 27. 26 and 27. They look like two different pieces, and yet they look like they've put them together. It's a little interesting. They don't, one thing I will say, they leave a little bit of detail to, they show the piece here, which looks different than the way it is on the actual tree here. Let's get that taken off. One. Two. Okay. So it kind of looks like they have them folded. Hard to pick up. But at the same time, maybe if I fold it like this. Like they have them folded together, and this little piece folded over, and it just comes apart. That's great. So I think what they're trying to show me is these two put together as a little bit of a sandwich, but they don't really sandwich. It would be nice if they just molded that as one piece that's a little bent, and that would be perfect for lining it up, but they didn't, and so you just kind of have to imagine it. This piece going on there and acting as our little strap. I'm not skilled enough to do this right now. I know when I'm defeated. I can admit defeat, and I'm not really doing a very good job at this at all. And so let's just forget that for a minute. Let's look at our other hatches. Let's just skip K32 and 31. We're going to add some pieces on here, okay? Now I'm pretty sure K32 and 31 are on here for adding more detail right here. K31 and 32, we're supposed to add this number 12. Instead of putting part number A29, instead of this part, we're going to put number 12. Okay, so let's grab K32 and 31. It's these two here. that's 32, and there's 31. Okay, so 31 will go there. Got a couple other pieces. K38, also supposed to go in there, so we might as well grab those. Looks like we've got 3 of them. But for now, we just need 2. Okay. Now, if you guys have watched my build on the Tirpitz battleship, you guys will see how much I love to hate Photetch. Photetch does add a lot of detail that would normally not be there at all. But I would say Photetch is definitely for the more advanced modeler. I struggle with Photetch, as you can tell. I struggle with Photetch. It's tough for me. Definitely for more advanced, more dexterous, and maybe even for people who understand instructions a little better than I do, which is very possible. Okay, that's nice and clean. Alright, so our 2 pieces are cleaned up nice. Now these guys are going to go in here like this, but I want to get the piece on top first. Okay, get our Photetch pieces on top of these first. Okay, so let's look at our Photetch piece again. That was number, where are you here? Where'd you go? We are number 12. These very, very delicate looking little pieces. I have a feeling just looking at how delicate these are, I don't know if I'll be able to use them. There we go. Super delicate pieces. And we're supposed to bend them, which this one already is a little bit bent in an unintentional way. So we start by bending this down. Bending this down. I almost need I need tweezer hands. I want to be Edward Tweezer hands. Then our little circle things, they need to be folded in. And that's where it's actually going to sit. It's actually going to be glued on those things. Okay. There's one pretty much in our position that we need, although I'll try and straighten it a little bit here. See, like I said, the delicate nature of this piece makes it difficult. And then it needs to sit with these going this way. Like that. I think I've got it pretty much lined up to the point where if I press down, it might go where it's supposed to go. Again, it might. It's easy to get things bent out of shape into the shape you don't want. I think that is pretty close to exactly what I need. So let's dip her in. And looks like I only got 1 foot on there that's actually glued down. Oops, now I got no feet glued down. As you can see, it's a challenge for me. I want to add the added detail, but it's difficult to get this in the exact spot I want and not bent funny. And glued down good. Come on, stupid thing. He seems to be too good for his home. I think maybe what I have now, I'm just going to say good enough. I think that did it, actually. That right there. That is the pain in the neck piece right there. That's one. After all that, I got one done. Okay. Next. Oh, too far. Okay, so we've got this piece ready. I am putting more glue on than I really need, but based on where this is going to be sitting, it doesn't really matter. This one seemed to be a lot more willing to go in the exact spot it needs than the other side did. This one fit a lot nicer, and I really don't know why. I can't say why. It just did. There we go. There's our two big detail pieces on our hatches. And that's that. I believe they're actually supposed to be dented in like this, or I have them more straight up and down. But I think that's a detail that's not very necessary. That doesn't matter at all. This one should be dry now and not want to go anywhere. Yeah, this one's dry now. Okay. And of course, when I've got paint on this thing and it's all dusty and everything, you're not going to see it. You're not going to tell that it's not quite the exact same shape it's supposed to be. And with that, we can put on our piece here. Which is technically supposed to be our periscope. Right? I've seen some kits where this piece is actually clear and then you paint part of it. Obviously, to me, I didn't bother doing that with this. Not necessary. Okay. It's that one. Go. And there's our other one. just like that. Okay, there's our two hatches. Okay, 31 and 32. Those are done. Now the other thing we need to do, remember I was going to do the fenders. I got to find L5 and I got to put those on our fenders. Okay, L5. L tree. We actually need a few pieces off our L tree. L5 are little tubes. These two here. Which I imagine these two are going to be for alignment purposes of our fenders. Okay, that's these two. And we also need L31. Looks like it's just a little strip of something. 37, 19, 20, 32, 31. Just a little tiny strip. Okay. And then we need L34 and 35. These two. That's 34. 35. Okay. So L5 goes on this and just sits there like that. Okay. Easy enough. Obviously the key on this is to make sure it's right straight up and down flush on there. Yeah, that's correct. For a brief moment there, I thought I'd put it on the wrong side, and that would have been tragic. There we go. Okay, so we flip this over, and I want to start with this one because I put L31. It's supposed to go in this little spot here. And just kind of stick off the edge. Two little pegs going to go in those two little holes. Just like that. Okay, that's that one. Now, before I move on, I want to make sure these are clean. And we'll get these all done. I have a chat on your Instagram. Sorry, I just noticed this now. I've been focusing on my thing. I have a chat on your Instagram, and I like your reels. Well, thank you very much. I'll check out my Instagram in a little bit. Some of you guys know every time I finish one of these projects, I take a few pictures of it and I upload it onto my Instagram. So, all right. So these things got to go in on the underneath side of our fender. So that means this is going to go in this direction, and they want it facing like this. This. Just like that. One thing I did notice in still pictures of this tank was this piece is actually not a big piece like this, but a little bit smaller. But we'll just leave it. I want to make sure that's a good 90 degrees. That's like the way it's supposed to be. a little notch sticking towards the inside here like that. Okay, there's that one. Good old Tamiya, making things in such a way that you don't need to test fit. Because everything fits properly the way it's supposed to with Tamiya. There we go. You want to make sure you got a good 90-degree angle on that. You don't want it to be at a funny angle, and then you're going to have problems fitting it later. Okay, those are done, and that means this page is done. Okay. And one thing I did drill the holes last time, so I got that finished. Double check. Yep, page is finished. So we're not actually putting, are we putting on the fenders yet? Yes, we do. We're going to put the fenders on our upper hull. So we're going to grab the upper hull here. I'm going to put these on. Now it looks like, okay, so these pegs are going to line up with these little pegs here and here. Which is pretty neat, because that helps us line up our fenders where they're actually supposed to go. There we go. We're sitting now. I'm going to use my thin glue. Get that done. Go along here. There. I would like to go on the inside also, but it's a little too hard to get in there with my brush. Some spots it's hard, some not. Not bad. In any case, we got it glued. We got lots of glue on there now. It ain't gonna go anywhere. One fender installed. Let's have a look at the other side. Put this one in there. The fact that it's fitting perfectly and where it needs to go tells me I got my pegs lined up perfectly, which is really nice. The fact that it's all, you know, it's all straight and doesn't, I'm not having to clamp it or anything like that is really nice also. But that's typical Tamiya. Tamiya is really good at making sure everything fits nice. Add a little more. Make sure we have no gaps. And we're good. Alright. Fenders installed on the hull. Now we're done with this page. And that is also kind of my cue that I've got to get going. Let's see what's next on the other page before I leave. We have our upper hull parts. This looks like the engine deck that's going to go onto the top. I know there are some photo etch pieces that are supposed to go on that, I believe. I recall from my pictures here. right here. More handles, more number 67s. Remember that tiny little 67 I put on that my first little hatch, wherever it went? This guy here. This first little handle right there. Doink, that one. I gotta put those on. More of those. Those are gonna go on top of that deck. Because, let's look at our deck. It's R15. There's our R tree. So, let's get this off of here. There we go. R15. Let's get this cleaned up. Our engine deck is basically just going to go in this great big hole here, right? Basically going to go like this and cover up that huge hole. That's basically all this is for, okay? But adding some pieces to it, right? Adding a looks like a not sure what that is. Maybe a gas cap. Maybe that's a handle to open it up. I don't know. And then we're going to add a hammer and looks like a pry bar, adding the details on there. But that's what these are all for, right? Because they're going to go on here and we're going to replace their handles. All these little nips that are sticking up, there, these two, and these two. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're all going to be replaced by the Photetch little handle things, right? Which means I got to cut these all off, just like I did on that hatch. Trim these, shave these off like this, right? And then replace that with one of those little Photetch things. But that's going to be something I do next time, okay? Because I got to get going. It's time for me to go, guys. That's going to be it for today. In the meantime, I will finish off shaving off those little bits, and I'll put those Photetch handles on there in my spare time. Also in my spare time, I might get back to trying to get this little piece assembled. We'll see how this goes. Because there is a kit part. I'm not sure this really adds any detail. I could possibly use the kit piece of this and add the little straps and stuff. But I've also got all the stowage that I'm going to be adding to the back of this to make it just like the tank in the movie Fury, where they had all the stowage on the back and everything like that. I want to add that stowage on there. So some of the stuff for this maybe won't allow for all the storage to be put on there. So I don't know. It's just more little stuff I need to do in my spare time and get that all sorted and figured out. Anyway, if you check out the description box below, if you're watching this on YouTube, down in the description box there's going to be some links to my Twitch and links to my Instagram. You can check me out on there. Follow me on Twitch and you can watch me live. You can talk to me just like Awios did earlier. And yeah, you can check out my Instagram, see all my still pictures that I've put up of all my other builds, everything I've done in the past, and all that fun stuff. And yeah, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. And that's where I'm going to leave it for today, and we'll see you all in the next one.